you doing? Joe McCall here. This is the Open Office Hours Deal Review weekly call. I got some of my awesome students here with me on Zoom from my land investing course called Simple Land Flips. So I'm glad they're here. I appreciate all these guys. They don't know it, but I try to show it. I try to express it. I appreciate my students, my audience, my listeners. And one of my big goals in 2023 is to really grow my YouTube channel. So I'm starting these new videos where I'm going to be actually reviewing deals, a lot of land deals, a few houses here and there. But my goal is to just teach you by doing and show you, all right, here's a vacant lot. Maybe somebody is making an offer. Maybe somebody already got it under contract, and show you how I analyze deals, what I would probably offer. And not that my way is the only way, but this is kind of how I tend to look at deals. I've been doing real estate for a long time, full-time since 2009, doing vacant land now for 4 or 5 years. There's other guys that have been doing land for longer than I have, who've done more land than I have. I really try hard to keep it simple. And one of the things I enjoy doing is teaching these concepts in real simple ways that somebody who's got a full-time job, maybe has English as a second language, can do these deals. And maybe they're having a hard time doing houses and they want to do vacant land instead. Well, good. Let's do that. Okay. So first deal that I want to review is from a student and a friend, even though we've not met yet. Jason's a good friend. I can tell just by looking at him. He's right there. You guys can't see him, but he's got 3 parcels in a county called Oconee County in South Carolina. And so I'm going to just kind of walk through this and explain my process as I'm walking through this. So this is Oconee, South Carolina. I know I said it wrong, but it's in South Carolina on the edge corner up there. There's Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina. So it's kind of at the intersection of maybe all 4 of those states. Not sure. The thing I like about this area, I can tell just by looking at it, it's probably going to be a really desirable county for people who are looking for recreational land, because it's a couple hours away from Atlanta, a couple hours away from Charlotte and Columbia and Augusta and Knoxville. So this is a great area. You've got the Great Smoky Mountains right up here, and there's a lake. So I'm just going to guess this is a good county. And just to kind of get a feel for it, if we go to Zillow, let me do a search for this county right here. If I just type that in, Zillow, and let's just look at solds, okay? Home type, land. Let's look at 1 to 50 acres in the last 12 months. 382 results. I like it already. It's a good county. What is this telling me? There's a lot of demand, right? You could then go back and look maybe the last 6 months. I could tell Jason did his homework, because he's targeting county with a lot of activity, which is awesome. And he got these deals under contract. And you might see, oh, I don't want to be in an area with a lot of activity. I don't like competition. Well, the competition is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. He got there's 3 parcels under contract for 31 grand. And he's not done a perk test. There is no HOA. Can you hear the angels singing, which is amazing and awesome. Hard to find properties with no HOAs, but they're the ones that are sometimes easiest to sell because there's no restrictions. Not that HOAs are bad. Look, this property right here is obviously in an HOA. It's got a gated community, and it's sold for $8,500. So HOAs, you can sell properties in HOAs. See a lot of these that are sold here in Zillow that we're looking at are in HOAs, but regardless, it has well water and water access, which is interesting. So there's already a well on the property. Jason, do you know? Now you're muted. I'm going to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Presently, no well. One of the neighbors had well, accessibility to water. That's all I have. No perk test done.
Okay. All right, cool. No perk test. In some areas, it's not a big deal. Some areas it is. I've never done a perk test myself. When I'm advertising a property, I will just disclose that you need to do a perk test. And that's usually not a big deal. All right, so I've got some parcel IDs, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy one of these parcel IDs. I use MapRight a lot. MapRight is a tool I really highly recommend. I don't get anything from recommending it from them, but I'll show you why I like it so much. We're going to look up the property here and see who owns it and try to get some information on it. So this is Oconee County. I'm going to paste that APN number in there, and MapRight zooms you right in. Now the owner is Ronald Vodney, and he owns 3 properties, these 3 right here. So one of the first things I'm looking for is road access. And this is good. I see there's a property right here. There's a property right here. And I see a road, White Oak Farms Road. So I'm going to total up these acreage because the first one is 3.22 acres. The next one is 3.13. And the next one is 1.58. Now, Jason, I'm going to unmute you, or can you unmute yourself real quick here? Have you reached out and contacted any of the owners yet?
One step ahead of you. I sent out a mailing early last week, which was probably hitting sometime today. And I already skip traced the owners just to follow up to see if they got that letter. And I was going to call sometime the end of this week, and spoken to 3 realtors in the area just to kind of get a test of what they were thinking as well.
Because maybe this guy or April Davis or Thomas Guerin or Christian Metz, they may have a real interest in buying these things, especially if you could maybe offer it with seller financing or something like that. Now, it's always one of the first things you should do. And you can go into websites like this. There's other ones like Land Glide is one of them that you can use on your phone to get parcel information on owners. All right. So the total acreage of all of these is, let me just get I need a better calculator. 3.22 plus 3.13 plus 1.58. Total acreage is 7.93. Now you're buying them all 3 together. Now, one of the things I like to do is this parcel doesn't have an address. Okay. But you know what? This house next to it, or this one, has an address. What I need an address because I want to look this property up in Zillow. And I want to kind of zoom in and then zoom out. And I want to have this property in the center of my Zillow map. So how do you do that, right? Well, a couple different ways. One of them is I'm just going to put my mouse cursor right there over the parcel. And in the lower right, there's some really small GPS coordinates. And I'm going to write those in, and it's going to be 34.8858 negative 83.0368. Now, what do you do with that, McCall? I'm glad you asked. You go to Google Maps. I'm going to type those in, 34.8858, comma space negative 83.0368. Boom, there it goes. It takes me right to that property. And I can see sometimes better with Google Maps. There is road access. This looks good. And it's also going to show me what the terrain looks like. So you can click on, now you can do this also in MapRight, but I'm just going to do it here in Google Earth. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to hold my control key down and kind of just fly around. And this looks good. It's not the mountains are up there, but where this property is at, it's hilly, but nothing bad, very gentle slopes, right? And if we were to pull up a comp report in priced, it would show us what percentage of each lot is what percent slopes, which is pretty cool report that you can get it's called a comp report. So that's pretty cool, right? All right. So now the other thing I like to do while I'm here in Google Maps is I zoom out a little bit, and I want to see what's the area like. I can see there's other homes. I can drag the yellow dude around to see where the closest street views, and you can see the blue lines. Well, the street view ends right here. Let's just go there. And this picture was taken in 2008. but this is kind of like the end of the road. This is what the neighborhood looks like. All right. You can see it looks like asphalt. Maybe it's hard to tell. It's very grainy. Yeah, I think that's asphalt. I don't know, maybe not. But down here is where that road is, right? And you can go back sometimes in the more major roads, there's better pictures. Let's look over here. No, see on the lower right, still 2008. It's beautiful countryside, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Now, why am I doing all that? Because I want to go in from Google Maps. Remember, there's those two properties that are right next to it. Well, sometimes you can click on that house. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say, what's here? And sometimes it'll give me the address. It did. It's this weird address, 651CH66. I want to see if I can copy that into my clipboard. All right. Now, what happens when I just Google that address? Takes me there. So that is I guess that's a real address. That's kind of weird. Let's try this property right here. Right click. What's here? Doesn't give me an address. This one has a swimming pool. Surely it has an address. What's here? Huh. This one. What's here? There we go. 502 Red Fox Lane. Okay, you'll see why I'm doing this. I just copied that address. Now I'm going to go to Zillow. And I'm going to type that address in right here. All right, now it brings me up to that house. I don't care about this house necessarily, but I'm going to X out of here. And that property is right in the center of this map. And guess what? Those are my other 2 lots, 3 lots right there. And sometimes you can click on them. Like you see how it's a value there? Sometimes the vacant land has a little number that you can click for values. But these don't. All right, so no big deal. But what am I trying to do here is I want the lot that I'm analyzing to be in the center of my Zillow map. Because then I can start zooming out to get comps. If I zoom in, it's right there. If I zoom out, it keeps that vacant lot right in the center of the map. And then I'm going to adjust my parameters and stuff up here. I'm going to do home type land. I'm going to go to more. Now I need to pick my acreage size. I'm going to stay like, I don't know, let's do 1 to 10 acres. Let's just see what's out there. He's got them. It's 8 acres together, 1.5 to 3.2 acres individually. Let's just keep our parameters pretty wide. 1 to 10 acres, sold in the last, let's keep it 6 months, sold in the last 6 months. And I'm just going to start zooming out until I start getting some sold comps. None. Zoom out again. No results. Now I'm going to remove boundary. Still no results. Zoom out again. 17 results. Okay, this is interesting, right? And they're up here. 17 results. I had to zoom out quite a bit. Let's look at actives now. Let's go to for sale. Apply. This is a closer active comp. There's one for 50, 65, 55. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more because there's 29 listings. I want to kind of, you zoom in and out to give you more, right? And so here we go. We've got 29.9, 39.9, 50,000, 50, 55, 64.9. So I've talked about this before. There's a little tool that Pebble REI has. It's called it's a price scraping tool. If you go to pebblerei.com, you can click on this little Pebble doohickey. It's a Chrome extension. And I click save all, and it brings all of those properties that are in this list from Zillow into this little table. And it gives me a median price per acre and an average price per acre. So if I've got 2 different properties, I usually go with the lower one. Okay. 9,388. This is just my preliminary, the way I preliminary kind of look at these things. I'm thinking, all right, what am I going to offer? Well, I want to make sure mine's going to be the cheapest. If I'm going to be advertising, I'm probably going to combine these together and sell them all at once. If I'm going to be advertising an 8-acre property, what's my competition look like? Well, the agent, kind of leaning off of Jason, did the smart thing and contacted some realtors. Are you listing it with an agent, Jason? I know you're muted.
I'm exploring all options. I spoke to an agent who then earlier today said, hey, listen, I can get this thing locked up at I think, what is she saying, like 55, and then she's giving me the numbers of what she wants. And so
what does she want? Does she want 10%?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think you got a good deal here. I'm just looking at this. The agent thinks he or she told Jason already, you could probably get 60 to 75. If you sell it all together, it's almost 8 acres. And land is harder to comp than houses. I wish it wasn't that way, but it's just easier. I mean, it's harder to comp land than it is houses. So when I'm looking at actives, I'm thinking, all right, what's my competition? What price do I need to price mine to make it the cheapest, most attractive property in this area? So if you look at price per acre, like I just did with this Pebble thing, I'm looking at a median price per acre of 9,400. Normally, when I make offers on these higher price properties, now for me, a higher price property is anything 50 and above, right? I'm going to be at maybe 35%. So if I take 9,388 times 0.35, that's about $3,200 an acre. And ours was 7.93. So that comes up with an offer price. My first preliminary offer price is going to be about $26,000. And Jason got it under contract for 31, which is really good. So I'm looking at, I would probably, just from these numbers, make an offer around 26 grand. Now I'm thinking also, all right, if I offer 26 grand, then I'm going to need to sell it for at least 36 grand to make a gross profit of 10. But I like to add another 5 to cover my realtor costs and closing costs, and et cetera. So I want to sell it for, can I sell it for at least my offer price plus 15 grand? So that's 41,000. Can I sell this thing for $41,000? And just looking at these actives, yeah, I think you could, right? Now he got it under contract for 31. So could you sell it for 46? Could he sell 8 acres for 46 grand? Yeah, I feel really good about that as well. So now I'm looking at for sales. Let's look at solds. You click apply, you go to solds. Oh, shoot. I just made a sin, a cardinal sin, not a cardinal sin. It's not that bad, but I just did something bad. What did I do? When I was looking at actives, I still had Zillow, days on Zillow 6 months. That means it's only showing properties that were on Zillow less than 6 months. You can't do that. You have to change it to any. Now we've got a new comp that just popped up. Not a big deal. It's 1.69 acres. But this is real important when you're using Zillow for comps and you're switching between for sale and solds. When you're looking at for sale for active listings, you've got to change the days on Zillow to any, because you want to see those properties that have been listed for a year. When I had it at 6 months, that means it was excluding any properties like this one that were on Zillow longer than 6 months. I hope that makes sense. So when I'm looking at actives here, I'm getting different numbers. Now I have 10 agent listings instead of 9. So if I go here into the Pebble thing, and I'm going to click the Pebble, clear all, save all, the numbers are actually a little higher. 10,873 instead of 9,388 like I had before. But you get what I'm saying, okay? In fact, if I just did 10,873 times 0.35 equals $3,800 an acre times 7.93 acres, my offer would be 30,200, which is a lot closer to what Jason had. All right, so he knew this. He was doing a better job than I was. Now, the other cool thing, let me just show you real quick how to do this in Redfin, because you guys might find in your market, Redfin is better. For example, in Texas, we're doing some deals now in Texas. I like Redfin better. Now, what did I just do? I went to Redfin and I pasted that address of that other property that's nearby. So what good does that do you? Well, when you click on this little map icon right here, it opens up a new window. And I'm going to click right here, map nearby homes for sale. And then it opened a new window with what? That property right in the center of the map. I'm going to zoom over here. So my subject property is right in the center of this map. Now I can zoom in and zoom out. I'm going to zoom out. All right, I'm going to go to, so let's go look at solds last 6 months. And I want home type, land. Cool. And let's just change this to street views, make it a little simpler, cleaner. All right, then we're going to look at, let's do 1 to 10 acres, just kind of like what we were doing before. All right, no results. Let's zoom out again. No results. Let's zoom out again. Now we got 12 results. And from here, you can sort it from low to high. And you can see this 5,000 is 1 acre. 8,500 is 1.06 acres. All right, so let's filter it down. Let's remove those little 1 acres. Let's make this 4 to 10 acres. There's one property. Zoom out. Now we've got 4. There's one here for 44. Let's switch it to for sales. Now, the cool thing is when you're using Redfin and you switch it to for sale, you don't have to change days on Zillow because it's just all of them. Make sense? All right. So now I'm sorting this by price. This property, it's close to the center of our map, isn't it? They're asking 29.9. And it is 5.46 acres. Remember, ours is 8 acres. So I still feel okay with that. This one's 5 acres. They're asking 34.9. Okay. Now, one of the things I want to do as well here is just like we did before with that Pebble tool. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to sort this by price. Now, the Pebble tool won't work when the properties are like this. You need to change it to photos. And then when you're using that Pebble tool, some of these images on the right, they won't load until you scroll down and pull them up. So I'm scrolling all the way down to bring them all up. I'm also going to exclude the real expensive ones here, right? So I'm going to exclude anything over $100,000. So I'm going to do the price max 100,000. All right. So now I've got 10 properties in here. These are active comps. I'm just going to scroll down the page to refresh everything. And I'm going to click on the Pebble doohickey up here. And you can see right there, it's found 10 properties. I'm going to click Save All. And look at that. These numbers are almost exactly the same as what I had on Zillow. Okay. It gives me the median price per acre of those properties that are on this page. This tool is really cool. Big shout out to Jesse Kwong at Pebble REI who did this. Just go to pebblerei.com and you'll see it on their homepage there. But it gives you the acres, the listing price, and you can then get your median price per acre. Real quick, let's look at solds again. Let's look at last 6 months. Maybe if you're not getting enough, you do the last year. And that looks a lot different, doesn't it, right there? And then you can zoom down to load all of these properties. And then do the Pebble doohickey. Clear all of them. Make sure you clear and then save all. And we're getting similar numbers. Median price per acre of 12 grand. Cool. The more I'm looking at this, the more I like this deal, I think. Now, Jason did the right thing. He called some realtors. And how did he find those realtors? Well, I'm going to guess that he went into these properties that sold within the last year, and he's nodding his head, and call the agents who listed them. I mean, what a concept. So this one sold in June of 2022, 8 months ago? And there is a realtor, Gwendolyn Fowler. All right, you can Google that lady. I mean, we think it's a lady. You never know these days. Gwen Fowler. I mean, I'm sorry. I shouldn't make jokes about that stuff. But you know what I'm saying. Okay. There's another one right here. Now, the cool thing about some of these areas is you can see who the listing agent was and who the buyer's agent was. So Robert Farmer, this would be another realtor that I would call. And you get their information, boom, right there. And I don't see a phone number. But you can just Google it and you can find these guys. And you just call them up. And we talked about this before. Jason's already done this, but you can say, hey, I'm looking to buy some property in the area. I see that you just sold a property nearby back in April for $45,000. Cliff Powell. I was wondering if you could, I don't have any agents representing me right now. I was wondering if you could maybe answer some questions I have about this property I'm thinking about buying. And maybe, if I buy it, you can help me buy it or help me list it and sell it. Right. So there's this guy's mobile phone number. You just call him up, and then you're calling them with the attitude of, I want to help you do more business. I want to help you do some deals and make some money. All right. So anyway, I like this deal, Jason. I think it's a good one. And you're using a realtor to help you advertise it, which is going to take a lot of the, I'm going to bring you on screen here. That's all right. And can you go ahead and unmute yourself, Jason?
Sure.
So what do you think? You have 90 days to close on it.
Yep.
You got a realtor that is open to maybe listing it for you. Is that right?
I take that back. She's open because she's pre-screened a couple of investors that might have an interest. I know what you're thinking. You might want to hold off on that and put it on the MLS to see.
No, a quick nickel's better than a slow dime sometimes, right?
Yes.
So this realtor already has some buyers, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And does this realtor know that you haven't bought it yet?
Yeah, she does. She's aware of it, and I'm going to wait to speak to her after this meeting, but to try to figure out the next course, because she was asking questions about, well, who's on contract, or who should she make it out to? And at least being a broker, I can speak to her and let her know where I'm at in the process, although I haven't the contract. And not that I think she would backdoor me. I have to protect myself in the prospect of having the buyers go around.
Are you a broker realtor yourself?
Yes, in Florida.
Okay. That kind of helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because when you're talking to this agent, you can speak realtor language.
Exactly.
And you can get your foot in the door, and there's a little element of trust. I was just listening to Jerry Norton, who's got a great YouTube channel, talking about this. And it helps to have your license. I tell everybody who's out there, you should really think about getting one. There's more benefits than costs.
Yeah.
Okay. So, man, I think personally what I would do if I had this deal is I would go ahead and get it into the title company. I'm not sure in South Carolina, do you use title companies or attorneys?
Title.
Okay. So there's the company we recommend in the course. I would contact them and say, hey, listen, I want to close this deal. Can we start the process?
Okay.
You don't have to answer this. I don't know if you have the funds to pull down the property yourself, but you could probably find private money pretty easily on this thing.
Yeah.
In our community private Facebook group, I bet you there's people in there who would lend you money on this deal. It's a short-term basis. You pay them 10%. They're very well protected. I mean, this is why I love this, because if you borrowed money from a private investor and pay them 10%, they're protected at least 50% loan to value, which is the best thing that can happen to them is that you don't pay them, because then they get the property back. And instead of earning 10% interest, they can flip it themselves and make 10, 20 grand. So, think about that. I'm not sure where you stand, but if you have the money, you can close on it yourself. Or if you have a private investor, you could lend some money borrow some money from them, pay them back in a couple, 3 months when everything settles. Usually with land, that's the easiest way to sell it when you already have bought it. Okay.
Mhm.
You could, depending on the buyer, you could do an assignment, but your assignment fee is going to be about 15, 20 grand. Which is that's a pretty big number for a deal like this. So it kind of depends on who that buyer is.
Right.
And that just might be really uncomfortable. You could do double close if you have a title company that will let you do that. The company that we recommend in the course will do it.
Okay.
But I would ask them about that, right? Like I always, when I'm closing a deal, I always ask the title company or the closing attorney, this is the situation. This is what I've got. What do you recommend? How do you think we should do this?
Okay.
And they'll tell you. Well, they can say, well, you'll save some money if you do an assignment, but then you're going to have the buyer know how much you're getting. We could do a double close, but then you're going to have, double the closing costs. Sometimes the easiest thing again is just to buy it and close on it and then turn around and sell it. But the other thing is when you do that, this is important. When you're selling your deals, I usually try to make the buyer, because I'm selling these at a good discount. I make the buyer pay the closing costs on the B2C
Right.
side.
Right.
But that's negotiable, So does that make sense? Do you have any questions on that?
No, I understand the concept of making sure that at the end of the day, the B2C side, where my sale of this lot after I've quote unquote closed on it, any sort of closing costs are going to be incurred by the new buyer. No different than buying a wholesale deal where, I guess my question or quandary is the finance side of it. So you had recommended someone within the group that you interviewed, not Phil. Freedom Land
Freedom Land Capital.
Yeah.
That's one funding company. I'd recommend that.
Yeah. So they gave it the green light as well, but they said, listen, you're going to need a perk test, which again, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. I mean, I've done a little bit of research, so I kind of know how much it's going to cost. And I know that could be a cost factor. I
would push back a little bit just because there's two houses right next to it. It's in a neighborhood already. So I don't know if that's what Freedom Land Capital says you have to do, or whoever they were again, right?
Yeah, that's what they said. They said, listen, for all our deals, you have to do a perk test. So that was just one avenue I was exploring. But on the sales side, when you asked me, well, do you have the funds to close on it? I don't want to spread myself too thin while I'm ramping up by laying out that. So I take that off the table. But at the same token, I'm wondering if in reading between the lines, you might say, hey, listen, see if you could work with someone in the group that would consider doing hard money. I don't know. You tell me in between the lines what you're saying.
Okay, well, let's look at Freedom Land Capital. I like these guys a lot. Travis King.
Yeah.
I've had him on my podcast a few times, right? And he's the guy I recommend. It's Freedom Land Capital, isn't it?
I think it's Freedom Land Funding.
I can't spell. Freedom Land Funding. No. Travis King Land Funding.
Yeah.
Freedom Land Capital. There it is. All right. freedomlandcapital.com. He's very open about how much you make on a deal. And let's look at the numbers here. Deal funding. Submit a deal. No, this isn't it. There's a place here where he shows you the numbers.
I think go into investor.
Here it is. All right, let's say your purchase price is 30 grand. What's 31? And let's say your sale price 60. Should we do that?
Sure.
55.
Go 55, just play conservative.
You're going to pay a realtor about 10%. Your closing costs might be, we're averaging 1,500. All right. So you're going to make from this, and I'll zoom in a little bit here. The split that they do is 70-30. The investor, you get 70%. The funding company gets 30%. So here's how the costs break down: 55 grand, closing costs, realtor commission. So the sale proceeds are about 48,750. Purchase price is 31 grand. Freedom Land Capital, they do get 30% here, but they also get a funding fee of a capital fee of 20%. And they got closing costs. So your total reimbursements is 37. You take 48 minus 37, which leaves you a net profit of 10,800. And you split that 70-30. So you get 75-60, they get 94-40. Now, it's better than a poke in the eye with a stick. You're not using any of your own money, and you're relying on somebody like Freedom Land Capital, who knows what they're doing, and they're going to tell you, if they say no to this deal, it's not a good deal. So this is a good way to filter out whether it's a good deal or not. Now, on the other side, there might be somebody in the Facebook groups, might be somebody listening to this who said, man, I'll lend you 31 grand, at 10% interest. They're pretty protected. They're at 50% loan to value, or 31,000 divided by 55. They're at 56% loan to value. So they're very well protected. You can pay them 10%. Now, when I say 10%, if you have the money for 1 or 2 months, you'll pay them $3,000, right? So annualized, that's really, really good. So it depends on what you negotiate, but typically what I do when I borrow money from a private investor, I'll pay them 8 to 10%, no matter how long I hold the money, as less than a year. If I hold it for 12 months, I'm still only paying them 12%, 10%. But if I'm only holding it for 3 months, I'm still paying them 10%. So anyway, maybe there's a better way to do that. But that's typically what I do. And so you will make more money if you use a private investor. Basically what I'm saying. Even though you're going to pay them $3,000 in interest, you take 3,100 that you're buying it for, plus 3 grand for that private investor interest money, and you're paying a realtor 5,500, and you've got some closing costs. So you're 37 plus 6, you're at 42. So you're at 42. You're going to make 13,000 instead of 7,500.
Mm-hmm.
Rough numbers.
Gotcha.
All right. Make sense?
Yeah, for sure. They are a good backup. After speaking to the agent, if the agent's locked and loaded and ready to go, it's really just a matter of having her send me a contract with proof of funds that I can look at and see if she can close in a timely manner within my due diligence period, to then figure out the logistics of what kind of paperwork I probably need, since technically I don't have possession. I guess that would probably be my next question, which is if I go the avenue with the agent and she says, hey, listen, my buyer agreed to 55,000. My buyer agreed to pay all the closing costs that you've requested. What paperwork, or how does this change when, as we know, I own the contract rights and this becomes more of a wholesale deal?
Well, the contract you have with the seller has written on there that you have permission to market the property on the MLS. Right. Okay. So, but when you're talking to the agent, you say, listen, there's a lot of different ways we could do this. I can go ahead and close on it. I can bring in private money. We can do a double close. I could do an assignment. What would make this easier? What do you recommend? Ask that realtor what they would recommend. The other thing you could, what if you threw this kind of a bone? You say, listen, how about this? We keep it simple. If your buyer wants to buy it for 55 grand, what if we changed it to where it was just simpler and we just did an assignment and he paid me a $10,000 assignment fee? I would sell it to him for $41,000. Well, okay, there's money in there. Like, I don't know, because then you got the realtor commissions and closing costs. But you could say, okay, instead of 55, I'll sell it to you for 50 if we can just do an assignment. And if I can just make 10 grand, make a 10 grand assignment fee, that keeps it simple. He gets a better deal. So you're framing it as either 55 and we go the traditional route of me closing it, double closing it or whatever, or 50 if we just do an assignment fee. Make sure that realtor knows that assignment fee is going to be $10,000.
Okay, just jotting some notes down.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
But it's coming back to the people who are the local there saying, hey, what do you think is a good way to do this? And I'm always open and honest, right? I don't want them to be surprised that I actually don't own it yet. I don't want them to be surprised that I'm going to make a big profit on this deal.
Yeah.
So cool, man. We'll keep me updated on this, Jason.
Yeah,
good job.
Sure. Joe, thanks for taking the time on this. Nice meeting you, and I will keep following along. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. That was awesome. Love it. Okay, we've got one or two more we're going to go through here and look at real quick. This next deal was submitted a week ago from Melody. And I want to see if Melody is on. Okay, she's not. She submitted a couple of them. I wanted to ask her what she wanted to look at first, but let's look at this first one she did. It was in Roane County, Tennessee. Let's look at this here. And I'll show you where Roane County, Tennessee is in just a second. And then I want to pull up the parcel ID. It's got a funky parcel ID. I hope I can. Sometimes parcel IDs, when they get weird, I think they're hard to find, but we'll do our best here. Roane County, Tennessee. Let me share my screen. So there's Roane County, Tennessee. Looks pretty. Zoom out. Let's see kind of where it is. Near Knoxville, Chattanooga, Tennessee. This is a really good area. Right in the middle of the interstate. There's a lake. Cool. Let's look at the Zillow to see what kind of activity is going on there. This is vacant land for sale. Her property is, hold on one second. Let me pull this off here. Her property is 3.01 acres. So let's do 2 to 5 acres. Days on Zillow any. So there's 61 agent listings between 2 to 5 acres. Hers is 3. First off the bat, I'm just looking at this thinking, now, okay, we need to get a little more clear on where her property is, but I'm going to need to be selling mine for maybe 20, 23, 22,000, depending on the views, or I don't know. But this one's been on Zillow for 383 days, and you can get beautiful views of the lake, and it's listed for 20 and it hasn't sold yet. All right, well, let's dig a little bit more into this. She thinks it's worth $53,000. Maybe it is, but I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of that just by looking at these active comps here. All right, I'm scrolling down to open all of them. Okay, and now let's do the Pebble doohickey here. The median price per acre of listed properties is $17,280. 17th, and the average is 19,690. I always go with the lower one. So if we did 17,280, go to my calculator, 17,280 times 0.25, I'm going to need to offer about $4,300 an acre. So just real quick rule of thumb, I'm going to take 4,320 times her property is 3.01. I'm going to offer around 13 grand. I'm just going to kind of write that number and just kind of think about it a little bit, right? All right, so let's go to MapRight and see what we've got. I need to go to a new county. Create map. Tennessee, get started. Parcel ID. Rowan. I'm going to paste that APN number, which is kind of weird. I don't know if it's going to work. Oh, it did. Hot diggity dog. All right. Well, that's interesting. There's a house. This is kind of a weird lot, isn't it? And didn't we already look at this? We did. We already looked at this one last week. Okay. And I forgot what we said. But maybe it was this property. I don't know. Melody, I wish you were here. We look at the 3D image of this. Hopefully it doesn't crash my computer like it did last time. Oh, okay. It didn't. I was on a live Zoom. This is a decent lot. Does it have lake access? I don't know. Probably not. But I don't know if that's common ground, you know? If it has lake access, that might, I think I remember if Melody we were talking about it before. I think it does have a premium because it has access to the lake somehow. And sometimes, you know, these properties, though the actual land next to the water is what do you call it? I just said it a minute ago. Public access or whatever. Common ground. So maybe that does have some way access to the lake. Okay, I'm going to do what I did before. I don't have an address for this parcel. It's just Beaver Trail, Tennessee. But I'm going to put my thing over there to get the coordinates. Okay. 35.801. Negative 84.512. So I'm going to go to Google Maps. I'm going to put that in here, 35.801, comma space negative 84.512. Takes me there. Cool. Then I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to just click on what's here to get an address. 200 Beaver Trail, Kingston. Copy that address. Go to Zillow. I'm going to paste that address in there. All right. Then I'm going to close out of here. And guess what? My property is right there. If I click on this, it actually brings it up. And you can see any kind of history if there was on Zillow. It sold in 99 for $32,500. All right. If I X out of there, I'm going to put this in the center of my map. And I'm looking at land. I'm looking at, ours was 3 acres, right? So 2 to 5 acres. Good. Days on Zillow any. And now I'm just going to start zooming out to get comps. Zoom out again. Okay, so I'm going to remove boundary. That property is still in the center of my map. Zoom out again. Now I have 9 agent listings. And I'm sorting this from low to high. Ours was 3.01. So just looking at this, let's zoom out one more time. Now I got 11 listings. I'm going to do the Pebble Doohickey. I've got right here, the median price per acre is 21,429. So I'm going to do 21,429 times 0.25. I'm going to offer 53.57 per acre. times 3.01 acres, right? So I'm going to offer about 16,125. Now, my other number that I wrote down, remember, was 13 grand. This number was 16 grand. I feel a little better about, I don't know, I'm just looking at that. I wrote down two numbers, $13,000 and $16,000. I might just do something in the middle. Maybe I would offer 14,500 is probably what I would offer. I would offer about $14,500. Maybe a little more, because I'm looking at this thinking, all right, if I'm going to sell mine, what am I going to have to sell it for to be competitive? I want to sell mine for maybe, even though it's bigger than this one has been on the market for 1,800 days. This one's been on the market for 580 days. So I want to sell mine for maybe $39,500. Now I'd probably get a realtor to help me list it. When I'm talking to a realtor, I'm going to ask them things like, what would I have to price this to sell it quickly? What's the minimum that I could price this for to sell it as quickly as possible? I'm not interested in getting the most for this property. I want to sell it the fastest. There's a big, big difference. And the realtor is going to give me some opinions. Let's look real quick at the solds. This is good. There's a lot of them, but I'm going to do sold in the last 6 months. Okay, so this makes me feel better about my offer. I'm at the lower end of these numbers here. This is also encouraging. There's something that sold for 45 and 55. I'm ignoring the 300s, 400s. So yep. Which is interesting. This one sold for 339. Well, that's a bigger lot. Looks like it's closer to the lake. But anyway, I'd probably go with that. I would offer 14,500 on this property. And remember too, you can do the let's remove price anything over $100,000. There's 4 results. Let's zoom out one more time to get more. There's 19 results. I go to the doohickey, clear all, save all. My median price per acre is 7,900, 7,907 times 3.01. I'd need to sell it for about 23 grand. Okay. Now, Melody offered $26,000. I'm thinking she should have offered 14,500. But Melody, I think this is real close to that area we talked about last week, if you're watching this later. So I might have missed something. I'm looking at your notes. Your goal is to flip it for cash. You've not marketed it for buyers yet. In the form that you fill out when people submit deals, I ask for the 3 lowest sold comps and the 3 lowest active comps. And Melody, you submitted a deal for comps that was $339,000. I'm not sure that was a good comp. It might be, but I just don't know. So, and I'm curious too, you offered 26, did they accept it? Sometimes, when you offer a price that's too high, it's okay to go back to the seller and say, you know what, I made a mistake. I don't think this is going to work. And this is why. I can buy similar properties to yours. I can buy bigger properties than yours for about the same price. That could be a good reason. Number 2, there's no utilities at the property. Number 3, the market is dictating what the property, blame the market, blame the numbers. The market will not allow me to do this. Again, blaming the numbers on the market. All right. So let me look at my calendar real quick to see how we're doing. Okay, cool. I have a podcast in about 30 minutes. So let's do one more deal here. What do you say? I've got 3 or 4 that I still need to review. So Jason, I did. Okay, let's look at Lisa. She has a property here. Hopefully it's got some details in it. Okay, these numbers are very, very similar. This is in Meigs County, Tennessee, I think. Can't say I've ever heard of that. Let me pull it up here. And I'll share my screen. Oh, it's just, this is a property real close to the county that we were just looking at. This is from somebody else. This is a county right here called Meigs County. And if we scroll out, you can see our other county we were looking at was right here. So this is a county right next door, right there. Okay. Let's do kind of the same thing. Let's look at Meigs County on Zillow and see what the activity is. Oh, Zillow, I love you, but we're looking at solds under 100 grand. Okay, so Lisa's property is 5.9 acres. .9 acres. So I need to adjust this, don't I? Let's do 2 to 10 acres. Sold in the last 6 months. 26 results. It's a good comp right here. A lot of sold comps. This is good. I like this. A lot of solds in the last 6 months. Let's look at actives real quick. Always change this days on Zillow's to any. 57 agent listings. Again, I'm just doing this to kind of get a feel. Seems to be a lot of properties in some kind of subdivision. That makes me nervous when there's a lot of properties with the same pictures, depending on where ours is. Looks like those are right in this area here. All right, so let's zoom in closer to where this property is located. So I'm going to go to the map right. Oops. I can still do this county, can't I? Because I'm still in Tennessee. Will this APN number work? Yep. Oh, road access. What? Oh, it looks like he owns both of these. Okay, so this guy, John Victor Stevenson, hopefully owns both of these lots. Oh, and he does. Okay, so this one is 1 acre. This one's 4.9. So yeah, the total was 5.9. Lisa has them, both of these lots under contract. So in your contract, Lisa, just make sure your contract has this parcel ID or APN and this one. Okay. Now, kind of like before, this parcel does not have an address. This one does. 300 Ivy Moore Circle. So I'm going to copy that address. And let's just look it up in Zillow. So this again is the address of this vacant lot. While we're in here, let's just look to see what the topography is. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to turn parcels off because I think that hurts when you're looking at 3D renderings a little bit. I click 3D and I'm going to hold the control key down and I'm going to kind of move around while it's working. Is it working? There we go. All right, now I'm holding the control key down and I'm just moving around here. So this is interesting, right? This parcel is one of them, and the other one is right over here. So they kind of own property, and there's a gully right here. So does that make this lot kind of worthless because there's this big thick gully in here? Let's look at this on Google Maps. So remember, if I go, let me go back here, turn 3D off, turn parcels on. Remember, they own these two lots. And there's this gully right here. So how usable is this lot? I don't know. Let's turn the satellite on. Let's do 3D. I'll hold the control key down and kind of do this. This doesn't look as bad, does it? Maybe. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, maybe it's not as, oh, I don't know what just happened. Well, let's try that again. There's a street view. I think our property is kind of down there, but you can't tell. All right, anyway, if you drag the yellow dude around, you can see street view in this area. I'm curious to know what's this going on here? Is this a junkyard? Okay, seeing this kind of thing, a mobile home, not a bad thing. It just tells you there's not very many restrictions, probably, which can be good. And a lot of times it makes it easier to sell your deals. All right, so anyway, where are we here? This is the address of the property. Let's look that property up here in Zillow. It's right there. Now I'm looking at for sales. Let's remove the minimum maximum vacant land for sale on Zillow, any, and let's zoom out to see if we can get comps. You're going to have to remove boundary. Zoom out again. See right up here, we've got 2 comps. Those are up there. Remember, ours is in the middle of this map. Those are right next to the interstate, so I'm going to kind of ignore those. Now we've got a bunch of comps, and they're kind of over here and up here. Yeah, how much weight do you put on these comps? Because they're right off of the highway. I don't know. Let's look at solds. Last 6 months. All right. Well, to get me kind of in the ballpark, there's 5 properties. Let's do the Pebble thing. Average price per acre is $89.61. Huh. If I get my calculator, 89.61 times 0.25. It's 22.40 an acre times 5.9 acres. One of my kind of initial offer is 13,217. So if I buy it for 13,217 and I add 15 to that, can I sell it for 28 grand? I think so, maybe. Kind of hard to tell, isn't it? Not a lot of comps. All right, let me show you one other thing here that I think you guys are going to find helpful. This is a comp tool with Priced. When I feel like I can't get good comps with Zillow or something, I'm going to go here and I have a subscription with Priced. And you can pull these comp reports. You're going to select your state. I'll show you what it looks like. Tennessee, select your county. What was it? Meigs. Meigs County, APN. Hopefully that works. You have to have the APN number exactly right. Let's see what MapRight said. Oh, this is going to be difficult. Yeah, it's going to be tricky to get comp reports from Priced. Because there's these two properties. So it's working. 6011. All right, so the APN number I put in was for this vacant lot, the bigger one. So it takes up to 2 minutes to generate. What it's going to give me is their for sale comps and sold comps that they scraped in the area. And it's going to give me what percent of the properties at what slopes. And it's going to show me on a pricing table 3 different prices that they come up with. County, at the county level. So that's looking at the entire county like we were doing here. They're going to give me the city level. So if the mailing address is Allen, that's going to be a different price than the mailing address of the properties that have Decatur and other properties that have a mailing address of 10 Mile. If that's a city, I don't know, or Athens. And then the other one pricing that they work out is what they call a geo report. It's still generating here, but a geo is like, it's an algorithm they use. Remember, we were looking at this in the county level. A lot of active listings, right? And I'm going to go here to the Pebble tool, clear all, save all. They're at about $7,500 an acre. 7,500 times 0.25 times 5.9. So I would offer about 11,062. So just looking at this, just looking at the median price per acre of the actives and the solds in the county area, I came up with 2 offers, $11,062 and $13,217. Let's see if that comp report is ready yet. Didn't work. I might have to delete the space. Let's try that. You know what? I'm just going to copy that parcel number. All right, we'll see if that works. So when you have 2 numbers that you come up with, 11,000 and 13,000, always go with the lower one. So I'm going to offer probably on this one, 11 grand. Now, Lisa, she calculated her offer to be 25 grand. It says that she has an offer, the contract accepted with the seller. And she did talk to a local realtor. Good. Now, I don't know. Is Lisa on even? Let's just look real quick. Lisa's not here. Okay. Well, just my quick and dirty numbers. Let's see if this report comes up, but I'm going to be offering about $12,000. You offered $25,000. You might be okay. Because if you have a realtor that says, yeah, we could sell it for 50, then you might be all right. Let's look at that though. I mean, could you sell yours for 50 grand? So hard to tell. I don't know. Here's a similar property that's currently for sale for 43. So this is about the same size. But why would somebody pay you 50 for yours when they can buy this one for 43? Sometimes in these areas, it's just, you just don't know. And it's not like you can look at a bunch of comps and narrow them down by square feet and beds and baths and 2-story, 1-story within a half-mile radius. You're looking at a lot of different things here. And, these sold comps up here for 25 make me a little nervous. So sometimes you just got to get it at the lowest number you can. Then you put it out there and see if any buyers would bite. I have a feeling you're in it a little too high. But if I'm wrong, then good for you. And I'm glad that you've talked to a realtor. If a realtor feels pretty confident at selling it at 50 grand, you're going to walk away with at least 15, 35, a $10,000 wholesale fee. Maybe if you sold it with owner financing, you make a lot more with that. But just looking at comps, I don't know. I don't feel good about selling it for 50. There's nothing here that really sold for less than 50. You're kind of stretching it a little bit, aren't you? If I were you, I'd buy it for 12 and I'd try to sell it for 30. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. I would try to buy it for 12 grand and I would try to sell it for 30. Cool. All right. We need to wrap this up. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I really do. And if it wasn't, I'm sorry, but I enjoyed this time with you all. I hope you did too. Jamelia, do we have any chat that I need to, any questions in the chat I need to review or answer? Okay, so Quinn is saying it definitely was this property that I was looking at before. All right, good. Oh, good. Jason says this has been a tremendous help. Paul gave me 2 thumbs up. All right, we're going to wrap this up, guys. I appreciate you all. Take care. Have a good one. Today's Wednesday. Happy hump day.